A warm welcome to this session. Today's topic is Cloze Test, which is a very important testing point for the IBPS RRB PO Mains. So if you are watching this session, I assume you have already cleared the prelims or you are a very serious aspirant for this exam. Now, since this is a very important section, not only in IBPS RRB, actually, Cloze Test is a regular component of all bank exams and several other government examinations. Okay, so we are going to look at the basics of Cloze Test. I'll just take a couple of minutes to run you through the basics of Cloze Test and then we get solving. Okay, I have two solid tests here which we will solve, and in the process we will also discuss strategies and approaches. Believe me, it may look like a time consuming exercise, but it really is not. Okay, why? Let us start. You will know why. But before that, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you get many more such useful videos in all subject areas. Okay, here we go. What is Cloze Test? For those of you who are not familiar with this term, Cloze is a derivation from German. Okay, it has roots in the German language and it means closure. Cloze Test is a blend of reading comprehension and fill in the blanks. It is not really reading comprehension. At the same time, it is different from the usual FIB questions. Hence, the key skills tested are vocabulary. It is essentially a test of vocabulary, just like vocabulary based fill in the blanks. Okay. At the same time, it is also a test of your comprehension skills. When we run through the practice exercises today, the samples today, you will see that understanding the idea flow and the theme of the entire passage is essential for you to get the words right. Otherwise, you may end up going on a different track, and each blank may have multiple options which fit in, but when you look at the passage in entirety, that is when you get the right answers for all the blanks. Okay, so you need to comprehend the idea of the passage. It is, of course, a test of your reading speed, because unlike sentence-based fill in the blanks, here you do need to read short paragraphs, and more than anything, it is a test of your contextual understanding, your ability to apply words to the right context, because very often multiple words can fit into one blank, but you need to identify the word that is contextually appropriate. And that is why I was telling you it is important to read the entire paragraph before filling in the blanks. If you are online at this point, do put your comments, questions, feedback, etc. in the chat box so that I can help you better as we proceed. Okay, my eyes are on the chat box too. Here we go. Here we have the first question. We have the first set. So the instructions, this is just for you to see. In the following passage, there are blanks, each of which has been numbered here. This is what they mean by each of which are numbered. Okay. And one word has been suggested alongside the blank. This is one particular pattern. Okay, Cloze Test, there are several patterns. The first pattern is where, see, for each blank, they have suggested one word. Okay. Now, what you need to do, please note that Cloze Test has several presentations. We have chosen two common presentations or patterns today. Okay. Guys, any questions, please feel free to shoot them at me. Yeah, and these one word has been suggested alongside the blank, and these numbers are printed below the passage, and against each 5 options are given. In 4 options, one word is suggested. Find the appropriate word, and if there is no need to change anything, you can pick 5 as the answer. What does it mean? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 blanks in this question, and sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, 6 blanks in this question, and then the first question is for the first blank. For the first blank, they have given 4 options, and then the 5th is no change, which means that debunked would be the best word to fit in there. That's what it means. Okay, similarly, 2 is for the second blank. Okay, you understood, right? You need to read the instructions carefully because, as I said, it can have cloze test, can have several presentations. For any question in bank for that matter, please read the instructions carefully. So let us do the first set now. India's economic growth is debunked to grow at a rate of 6.7%. What is debunk? You debunk a myth or you debunk any idea or theory or notion, means to disprove it or to dismiss it entirely. India's economic growth is debunked to grow at a rate of, does that make sense? No. So this is not the word. So no change has been ruled out. Before you actually pick the answer, you can try and think of what kind of word will fit in there. India's economic growth is predicted to grow at a rate of, right? Something on the lines of predicted. Now let us see. Or likely to grow at a rate of is also fine. Likened to grow at a, liken means to compare something with something. Okay, to draw a parallel. Likened to grow at a rate of does not make sense. Projected to grow at a rate of, what is a projection? A forecast, a prediction. This word should be fine. Then we have is made to grow at a rate of. Can you make a growth rate grow? That does not make sense at all. Anticipatory to grow at a rate of. Anticipatory is an adjective. Here you cannot use an adjective, right? You need a verb. Anticipated is okay, but then anticipated to grow at a rate of does not make sense. So this also will not be appropriate. So what do we have? Projected. The first blank is projected. Now we go on to the second question. So let's read on. Okay, so this is according to a World Bank report. A World Bank report said on January 16, 2025. The report titled Global Economic Prospects said that the services sector is expected to enjoy dash expansion. Before picking the answer for this, let us make sure they are talking of a positive word. Yes, enjoy shows that it is a positive word. Just to be sure, manufacturing activities would dash supported by government dash aimed at improving the business environment. So now we know everything is positive. This is what I said. Before picking your answers, you need to get the overall tone and context of the passage. Okay. So, once again, let us look for 2. The report said that the services sector is expected to enjoy sustained expansion. Anything wrong with that? Sustained expansion, consistent expansion, that is fine, right? Let us see the alternatives. Growing expansion, growing growth, that does not make sense. Unlimited expansion, do you think that is even realistic? Logically, unlimited expansion does not make sense, right? Restricting expansion, that is what you call an oxymoron. Restricting expansion, opposite terms, does not make sense. Concerning expansion. Concerning is something you should be worried about. You should be concerned about. Expansion is good or bad. Why will we be concerned about expansion? Hence, no change is the answer. Okay, fine. Manufacturing activities would pick, supported by government something, aimed at improving the business environment, it added. So let us see, what kind of word do we need here? Increase or decrease? Guys, come on, join me. You can put your comments. I'm eagerly waiting. I only have a smiley here. Hi. Others, please, you can put your answers, questions, anything. Manufacturing activities would improve, right? So pick up would be okay. To pick up pace, pick up speed, but you can't say would pick. Pick is to take something individually. So we need a positive word here indicating growth supported by government, something along the lines of orders aimed at improving the business environment. Now let us see. So government orders would not make sense, but we will go to that blank later. Here, decline, if government supports these activities, it cannot decline. We need a positive word. Would mandate. No, mandate is a noun here, or it can be used as a verb. The government mandates that, but you can't say manufacturing activities would mandate. And mandate means to require something compulsorily. Would strengthen. Absolutely. We need a positive word, and strengthen is a positive word, right? Would weaken. Would it weaken? Again, we said it cannot decline or weaken when the government is supporting these activities. We need a positive word. So, what is the word? The positive word here is strengthen. This is our answer. Okay. Supported by government. It can be policies or something along those lines. Government orders aimed at improving the business environment. Does that make sense? Government orders. Not really, right? Government orders to initiate something, but not aimed at improving the business environment. Policies would be okay, but we don't have the word here. Government rights, no. Writ, you know what a writ is, a writ petition, out of scope here. Referrals, to refer somebody or recommendation, no. Initiatives, absolutely, government initiatives, right? Some effort on the part of the government. So orders is also not appropriate. Initiatives is in blank. Okay, next. So let us read on. Investment growth is projected to be steady with moderating public investment offset by rising private investment. Okay. The international financial institution added. So, investment growth will be steady. The report falsifies global economic developments and prospects. How can a report falsify global economic developments? Developments, not development. Developments are things happening at the global at the global level in the economic realm. So what falsifies is definitely not correct. The report cannot disprove things that are happening, right? The report examines global economic developments and prospects with a special focus on emerging markets and developing economies. Does that make sense? Yes, the report studies this. This is the theme of the report. That does make sense. But let us see. Let us examine the other options. The report invigilates. To invigilate is to supervise. That does not make sense. The report bolsters global economic developments and prospects. To bolster is to support or strengthen or boost. The report cannot really boost the developments in global economics. That does not make sense. Competes global economic developments does not make sense, and compete should always be accompanied by with anyway. Okay. Answer is examines. Okay. Then the next blank. It is What is it here? You need to remember that, otherwise you'll get confused. What does the pronoun it refer to? The report. It is awarded twice a year. We are not talking of a prize or award. We are talking of a report. So it is definitely not awarded in January and June. If you just go through the options quickly, you know what the word would be related to a report, right? Report is published, absolutely. Printed. Now, what is the difference between printed and published? If it is printed twice a year, it would mean the same report is reprinted. That doesn't make sense, right? It is a report that is being compiled afresh each time. That is the difference between printed and published, okay? Monitored twice a year. No, the report has to be published, right? Not monitored. That doesn't make sense. Monitor, you know, is to supervise. Does not make sense. Conceptualized. Conceptualize is to visualize or to plan. Now, that is not enough for a report to be a report. Just conceptualizing will not do. Twice a year clearly indicates that something is being done actively. So, published is the right word. Okay. What else could come in place of published? Released, maybe. Released would also be an appropriate word. Right? Okay, so any questions for me in the meanwhile about cloze test? We have finished one cloze set. So you see the overall understanding of the paragraph is also important. Okay, do not be in a haste to pick the options. We are moving on to the second cloze test. Here, you don't have anything in the brackets. Okay, there are blanks, each of which has been numbered. Against each, 5 words are suggested. That is all. You just have blanks and you have a word. Sorry, you have 5 words for each blank. Okay, one of which fits the blanks appropriately. Find the appropriate word. Simple exercise here. Okay. Any questions or comments, guys? Please feel free to put in the chat box. The Himalayan region, dash, 2,500 kilometers from Afghanistan to Northeast India. So, the Himalayan region stretches something on those lines. But let's finish the sentence. And contains the world's largest ice reserves after the 2 poles. The 2 poles, North Pole, South Pole. Okay, that's interesting. Himalayan region. So let us see what is along the lines of stretches. What are the options? Shun. What is shun? To reject. Does not make sense. Comprises 2,500 kilometers. Comprises, you may get confused with this word. Comprise refers to the components of something. Okay, so this class comprises students from various parts of the country, but you can't say comprises a certain length or a certain measurement. That is not right usage. Okay, this kind of matching the right word with the right context is called collocation, by the way. It is not really necessary for you to know this word for cloze test, but collocation is certain words may mean the same thing, but they may not fit in to a particular context. Now, something comprises many aspects, that is fine, but it is not used with metric units or distance, measurements, etc. It's used for individual components. Got it? So, spans. Spans 2,500 kilometers. What is spans? Covers, stretches over, right? Widens 2,500 kilometers. To widen is to make wide. That does not make sense, right? So that is also not the right word here. Treads 2,500. What is to tread? To tread is to walk, right? To go on foot, to tread or to step over. So Himalayan region cannot Tread. You can say somebody is treading so many kilometers or a distance of, etc. for a person. Okay. Hence, the right word is spans. Let's read on. Like the Nordics, Scandinavians, Himalayan communities dash climate-induced disasters and centuries of resource exploitation. Okay? Himalayan communities, climate-induced disasters and centuries. So, this is a negative concept. The term here has to match that idea that they are suffering from all these. So, let us say back climate-induced disasters. To back as a verb here would mean support, does not make sense. Embrace climate-induced disasters. Embrace is for a positive thing. Embrace success, etc. You can even say embrace change, embrace uncertainty, but not even a neutral term can go with embrace, but not a heavily loaded negative term like disaster, right? Pinch. Pinch climate-induced disasters makes absolutely no sense. Clinch. Clinch is to grab a deal, a project, etc. or in any other sense. But that also does not make sense. Face. A simple word but appropriate here. Himalayan communities face climate-induced disasters. So the connotation and collocation are both important. Collocation we discussed just now. What word goes in what context? Connotation means what it connotes, what a word implies. Okay, the tone of the word. So when the situation is negative, you need a word with the appropriate tone. Okay, the region is home to 52 million people from dash tribes, clans, ethnicities, and religions. 52 million people from various or different tribes, clans, ethnicities, and religions, right? Various. We have a word here. Curious, furious, dubious, tedious. Very easy to eliminate. Various is the answer. You know what curious means, right? Inquisitive. Furious is very angry. Dubious is suspicious or something that's doubtful. Tedious is tiring. So the word is various. Very easy. These include, what does these refer to? The various tribes, clans, and ethnicities. These include the Gaddis and Kinnoras in Himachal Pradesh, Lepchas, Bhutias, and Mons in Sikkim. Okay, so this is all the names of, these are all, the names of various tribes and clans. In the exam, you cannot afford to read all this, so I am also not reading. You will have to run through them to see, because there is no blank there, right? You just need to understand that different names of tribes are given. Enough. Okay. Tip to beat the timer in the exam. Okay. These communities have faced waves of dash through colonialism. Waves of what through colonialism? Post-independence nation building and neoliberal policies. Okay. What could it be? Let us see. So, colonialism, nation building, and economic policies. Colonialism may not be very positive, but the other words are positive. Let us see what they have faced. Isolation. Would they face isolation through economic policies, nation building? No. Seclusion and isolation are the same, right? That does not, these two words do not make sense. Exclusion is also related to the first two words, does not make sense. Why would they be excluded? Colonization may have negative impact, but then the other two words do not call for such negative terms. Assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation is absorption, coming together or blending in. So these groups have had several waves of blending in and adapting and adjusting because of all these changes mentioned here makes sense. Disassociation is again detachment, cutting off, does not make sense. Okay, so the answer is assimilation may be a little tricky, but then through elimination you can get it. You may not think of assimilation as a natural answer, but you can easily eliminate the others from the context, right? So this is the answer. Okay, moving on to the next blank. During British colonial rule, trade and forest laws dash Himalayan communities. Okay, drafted Himalayan communities? No. You can say these rules or laws were drafted by somebody, but rules cannot draft a community, right? Impacted Himalayan communities. Of course, laws can have an impact on the local community. Crafted Himalayan communities? No, laws cannot make a community. Seized Himalayan communities, captured them. Why would trade and forest laws, capture a community? No. Erase is to delete, to completely wipe out. None of these make sense. Impact. These laws had impact on the communities. And the last blank here. In the Northeast, tribes were dash into accepting colonial trade terms involving goods. What could it be? Tribes were forced to accept, right? They were compelled to accept. Now you have the preposition, the word into, were dash into. If you know a synonym of compelled, which is always followed by into, you will immediately get the answer without looking at the options. Otherwise, of course, you need to look at the options. Were persuaded into accepting? No, persuaded to accept. You don't say persuaded into accepting. So here you need to know the grammatical usage. Otherwise, persuaded may seem somewhat okay. Perished into accepting is totally absurd. Perished means disappeared, vanished, got completely destroyed. Convinced into accepting also is not correct in terms of usage. Convinced to accept would be correct, right? Promoted into accepting, again, this word is absurd here, has no connection to the context. Coerced into accepting, are you aware of this word? Do you know this word, coerced? Coerce is to force or compel, and coerced is always followed by what? Into. So awareness of preposition. Otherwise, you might have taken either persuaded or convinced, but persuaded to accept. The ing form won't come and into also will not come. Okay. Similarly, convinced to accept. Okay. Coerced into accepting. Okay. So, hope you have got some useful lessons from these two exercises. If you have any comments, any questions, please do post in the chat box, and do not forget to join or subscribe to our channels in various platforms, because we keep coming up with such useful videos for various exams. Okay. And if you want to join any of our courses for classroom coaching, do walk into your nearest time center. We have an almost pan-India presence, and for online courses, you can enroll at this. Here is the link. Okay, see you again in another session soon. Thank you, everyone.